My name is Lisa Muller. I am from a small town in central Kansas called Ellenwood, and I went to undergrad at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. I chose optometry because I was exposed to it at an early age. I had been going to the optometrist for several years. I started wearing glasses when I was in 4th grade, and so it was just something I had been exposed to early on, and I knew going through middle school, especially going through high school, that I loved science and I wanted to choose something in the healthcare field. And since I had gone to the optometrist so many times, it just kind of seemed natural. I started shadowing some optometrists, and after that I really kind of fell in love with the profession and what it offered. I shadowed at 3 different practices. They were all different kinds of practices, and then I also worked for an ophthalmologist. So I kind of got to see the interaction between an optometrist, between the ophthalmologist. I saw private practice. I shadowed at a commercial setting just to kind of see how optometry is practiced at different settings is so different between different offices. So I would encourage any student looking into optometry to shadow at as many practices as you can, just to get the experience of the profession as a whole. I felt that when I was shadowing, I enjoyed private practice of optometry. I felt that in general it offered the best benefits for optometrists, and it was the most rewarding. It was more flexible as a career option as opposed to working at a commercial setting that may have set hours. And when I was looking at schools, I knew that everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis is clinical. So I wanted to make sure that whatever school I chose had a very strong clinical aspect to it, and I felt that I found that at SCO. When you go to tour the clinic, you see just amazing technology. You see a ton of patients when you're going through this program, and in general I feel like SCO had a very strong clinical component. I feel like all of the classes that we've had so far in school have definitely prepared me for the experiences that I've dealt with in clinic. We have a vast majority of our professors as optometrists, so anytime there's a clinical pearl in there, they're going to tell you what it is, and you can just hear their voice kind of replaying in your head when you have that patient in your chair, and you can just kind of link it back to what you learned in class, and you feel a little bit more confident with what you're dealing with the patient's health situation, or whether they're not giving you responses that make sense. It kind of helps you, because you were told those situations beforehand in class, it helps you kind of go through the actual patient encounter with more confidence. There is so much diversity in Memphis in general, and some of the patients that we see, it could be their first eye exam, and they're in their 80s. So you're seeing more pathology and more unpredictable situations in our clinic here. So by the time that I graduate, I feel like I'm going to be very confident going in to see any patient, because I won't necessarily have the same population, but I really feel like what we have here is giving you a very diverse patient encounter, and it's going to make you feel comfortable facing any patient thereafter. I feel like Memphis is a great city. I come from a very small city, or small town, not a city. It's of 2,000 people, and in undergrad the city that I was in was about 150,000, so Memphis is by far the largest city that I've lived in, and it just has so much to offer. There's any kind of entertainment that you would like to go to. There's the pro basketball team, there's, baseball, there's a ton of fun sports. In addition to Beale Street, there's fun nightlife, all the music that gets played, jazz bands just set up across the street to get to enjoy. Also, I feel like Memphis has a lot of like food festivals, different things that just a larger city can offer you, and I feel like we're very fortunate to have that. I am married, and I feel like my husband and I are able to go to lots of different events to enjoy the city. The other night we went to the Memphis Italian Festival and really enjoyed ourselves. Just different things to be able to do that you don't necessarily get at any other city. I would say that the transition from undergrad to here was a little smoother than I expected. The hardest thing for me was learning how to manage your time, and I feel like I didn't really feel like the difficulty of the classes was elevated from what I had in undergrad. It was just that you had a lot more of those difficult classes. So it wasn't necessarily that the material was more difficult, it was just managing your time so that you could fit all of those classes in. But you do still have plenty of time to join any of the clubs, organizations that we have on campus. I'm involved in optometric private practice. Since I do enjoy private practice as optometry, I do feel like that's the route I will go with my career. They bring in different private practitioners and tell you how they establish their practice, and it just gives you a really good insight as to how you can run your practice in the future. I'm also involved in Lions Club. We do a lot of service activities throughout the city and then the surrounding area, so it's nice to have the community service aspect involved as well. I'm also married, so I have a lot of free time with my husband over the weekend. He works the standard 8 to 5, goes in sometimes on Saturdays, so you kind of budget your time along with the time management. You kind of budget your time so that you can study real hard for 2 hours, and then maybe we go on a walk for an hour, or we have a dog as well, so maybe we'll go to Shelby Farms and we'll take our dog out to play. So you can just kind of, learning to manage your time is definitely the biggest thing for you to adapt to in the transition from undergrad to professional school. So far, SCO has exceeded any expectations that I've had for optometry school. With the school being private, I really feel like everyone is gung-ho for optometry. Everyone enjoys the profession. Everyone's looking forward to the future for how they can help prepare us as students so that we can succeed in the future. And I've just really enjoyed the experience here, and I know after I leave here that I'm going to be a great clinician.